Hello DevOps Dreamer, welcome to DevOps Guru channel. In this video, we are going to talk about Docker with Terraform. Terraform is an infrastructure as a code tool, so we can create, update, and change resources. Terraform can be used on-prem or as well as in cloud to create resources. After watching this video, you will be able to create Docker image and Docker container with the help of Terraform. Providers enable Terraform to work with virtually any platform or services with accessible API. Provider is responsible for understanding API interaction and exposing resources. All these Terraform resource automation magic happens due to provider. Terraform need to know which provider to be used for resource creation. We provide provider information in Terraform block of the configuration file. Let's go to registry.terraform.io and see providers. So when you go here, you can see a lot of provider. We are interested in Docker. So let's type Docker. So this is the provider. So let's go to this provider page. Provider is Docker, and you can see overview, documentation, and use this provider. All you do is just copy this provider. You can see documentation over here. Go all the way bottom. It'll provide you all the resource it supports. We need Docker desktop and Visual Studio Code for this demo. For Docker desktop, you go to docs.docker.com. So let's go to this link. So you can install Docker desktop on Mac, Windows, and Linux. Here you can download the MSI. Just follow along. You need to be careful. System requirements. These are the requirements. 64-bit processor, 4 GB RAM, and hardware virtualization enabled in BIOS. And once you install, just follow these steps and you need to start the Docker desktop. You also need Visual Studio Code. You go to code.visualstudio.com. So you go here and then you have Windows, Linux, and Mac OS. Hit install button and then follow along. Okay, this is a demo time. Let's make our hands dirty. So I started a Docker desktop. So before starting demo, make sure Docker desktop is running. So your engine is running, and let's go to Visual Studio Code. So I'm on my Visual Studio Code on a Docker Terraform demo folder. So I'm going to create a file main.tf. So we need a Terraform block. So Terraform block required provider. So our required provider is Docker. So it's a block. So let's go inside. We need source. Source is this one right here. So you can just copy paste source and version, or you can copy paste everything, it will work. So source is this / Docker, version is 3.0.2. Let me copy this source and version. Let me go here and then I'll paste right over here. So our Terraform block is ready. Now we need to give provider block. In a provider block, our provider is Docker. So that's it. We are doing this in a local host. My Docker is installed in this local desktop. So the provider block will be empty. Remote server, we need to do authentication information. So let's go resource. So under resource, we need to give Docker underscore image. Its name can be anything, img. So it takes one argument, name, which image you want to download. Let's say I want to download Nginx. Docker image is there. We need to create a Docker container. Docker underscore container. You can give any name, container 1. So the image will be this one right here. Just copy, paste, dot image underscore ID. Then what's the name of that image, right? So name of that image can be anything, Nginx, web server. Now we need to mention ports. What are the ports needed, right? It's a block. So inside the block, internal. So what port the container listen on? listen on 80 because this is a web server, and external traffic from host. External also we can give 80. Let's save this and let's open a terminal. New terminal, Terraform init. It will download the Docker provider. That's what it's doing right here. And once it's done, let's clear the screen and do Terraform plan. It's going to plan for Docker image and Docker container right here. This is the Docker container. Okay, so plan is successful. Now let's clear the screen. Let's do Terraform apply. Dash dash auto dash approve. So it's creating Docker image and then Docker container. So that's done. Clear. Now let's see Docker PS. It's going to show you the Docker container, running Docker container. See, one Docker container is running. Name is Nginx web server. That's what we mentioned here. So it's listening on port 80. So you can do Docker images. That's the Nginx image we download right here. Nginx latest. Clear the screen. Docker PS. So application is listening on localhost 80. Let's go to web browser. So localhost 80. You're going to see Nginx web server. Nginx is running. It's running on a container, right? Okay, let's go inside the Docker container. So to go inside the Docker container is Docker exec -it and container ID. That's this one. Our container name, which is this one, -it, and then bin/bash. So we are inside the container. Document root for the Nginx is /usr share nginx html. Let's go inside the document root. So cd /usr /share /nginx /html. So here it will have index.html. When you do ls, this is the file it's displaying right now. When you do cat index.html, you're going to see same thing. Welcome to Nginx. If you see this page, Nginx server is installed and working. That's what you are seeing right here. Welcome to Nginx. If you see this page, blah, 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 right? We can create our custom web page over here too. Let's clear the screen and let's create our index.html file. So let's touch index1.html. Okay, so ls. Now we have index.html and index1.html. Let's put content inside the index.html. So how do I go inside? So nano index1.html. So this one does not have nano. So we need to install nano because this is a Docker container. It has very limited package. So let's install the nano apt update. So update is almost done, 93%. So once the update is done, let's install apt install nano. So it's asking for yes or no. Let's yes. And nano is installed. Now we can go inside the index1.html and put the content there. Okay, let's clear the screen and go inside the index1.html. Nano index1.html. Let's put the content here. Welcome to DevOps Guru. Thanks. Okay, so let's save it. Control O, enter, Control X. So we have the content cat index1.html. So you can see the content. Welcome to right here. So let's go to browser. Now we can do ad/index1.html. So you're going to see our content right there. Welcome to DevOps Guru. That's what the one we put it in there, right? Let's make this one our default page, not the index one. So right here, ls, we have, let's remove index.html. This is the default Nginx page. rm index.html. So ls, the index.html gone. Now let's move index1.html to index.html. So mb index1.html to index.html. So when you do ls, index1.html move to index.html. You do cat index1.html, that's the same content. Now this become our default page. Let's go to browser and see. So right now we have index.html, we move it to index. So let's do index.html. So it's going to give you the same content. Now you don't need to do index.html. You just do localhost. It's going to work. See, index. This is our default page. Let's do another demo. So I have HTML, CSS, JS application. So I have HTML code, CSS code, JS, and then JSON. This is just a sample application. You don't need to worry about how this is coded. So open with live server. Make sure you go to extensions and search for live server. So this is the one. Install that extension. I have already installed. Once you install, you can open your application. You can go to code. You can open this in a live server. Open with live server. So when you do that, the application open in a browser. See, this is our application. So it's a home page, product page. So we have different product. You can order quantities. Go here, right? Contact us, right? And about us. Let's Dockerize this application. The source code is in this GitHub page. So when you go GitHub page, it's going to open this page. Hey, just all the sample code here. And if you need to know detailed instruction, go to Medium. It's going to give you all these instructions how to download, right? Live server, open with this, and how to code all these application. So once you are ready, or you just copy my code, or once you are coded and then you are ready, let's Dockerize this application using Terraform and Docker. Okay, so I have main.tf here. This is the same information, the Terraform required provider, the Docker provider, and source is this, and then version is this one, and provider is Docker, and the resource we used last time, we pull the image, Docker image, right? Nginx latest, we pull this image and then we create a Docker image. But you can create the Docker image using Docker file. So for that, you need to have a build tag. This is the name of the image, and then the build tag. Build it. So this is a block. So it has context, current context. It's going to pull up the Docker file in the current context, which is this one, this Docker file. And it's going to tag that image as a web img, and then the tag will be deb. So you have to have Docker file in the current context. So this will build. This is another way to build using Docker file. Here we just use pull the image. Okay, once the image is created, we're going to create the Docker container. It's the same one like last time we used. Docker file. All you need to do is we need an Nginx. This is a web server. This is a base image, and then copy everything here to the folder where we last went in there, right? Document root, usr share nginx html. That's all you need to do. So on this, we created the Docker image using Docker file. Docker file will copy everything from the current location to document root, usr share nginx html. And we're going to create the Docker container. When the image is ready, we're going to expose port 80. Our Terraform config file is ready. Docker file is ready, and source code is here. So let's do Terraform plan, Terraform apply. Let's pull up the terminal. You have to Terraform init. It's initialize first. It's going to download Docker provider, right? That's done. Clear the screen. Now let's do Terraform plan. It's going to plan for Docker image and Docker container, Docker image, and then Docker container right here. Let's do Terraform apply, dash auto dash approve. So it's created. Now let's clear the screen and do Docker PS. So it's created our Nginx web server. It's listening on port 80, right? So let's go to web server. Localhost port 80 is gonna give us, so our HTML file is on HTML folder / about.html. HTML contact.html, right? It's the HTML file is inside the HTML folder. So we have to do a localhost 80 / HTML about.html. So our web page is working, right? See, it's working inside the container. So product page is working, contact is working, home page is working. Product.html is also working, right? Let's zoom in. And then you have review.html. Review.html is also working. All right, DevOps Dreamer, that's all for this video series. Please like, subscribe my video. Thank you. Happy learning, happy coding.